Welcome to Tupelo Technique Peak Week number 1, where I'm going to take a product and show you an ultimate technique. And this is a no-touch emboss where you don't have to touch your stamp. And it's a background stamp. This is going to save you. And I'm going to use the Big Shot Pro 15 3/4 by 11 3/4 by 7.5 inches. It's a monster, but it's wonderful. So here I am testing my A plate, which is thicker, and my B plate to see when I put down my acrylic plate on top here, which one I'm going to use, because you don't want to damage your machine. The idea of doing this video and popping in with all these techniques is to show you something that is totally unique. And here you never have to use your fingers and papers and be pressing to get the perfect emboss. And not only is this a perfect no-touch emboss, you are going to get an actual emboss with this stamp, with a background stamp. So the first thing you're going to do is use a silicone rubber mat. Make sure it's the squishy rubber mat. And I'm going to use my B plate because it's thinner than my A plate. And I'm testing it out here, picking it up and looking at my 40-pound acetate. And believe it or not, I have an emboss with this deep etched, beautiful rose Impression Obsession background stamp. Totally unbelievable. I thought to myself, there has to be a way where I can etch this down, get an emboss because it has such thick, beautiful rubber etching, and boing! I thought of the rubber mat. And now you just put your acetate, the paper, the rubber mat, the B plate, the wafer thin precision base plate, and wait till you see these results. You're going to be thrilled. You'll be doing this with your die cutting machine all the time. Tupelo's has a new order of this Impression Obsession rose background stamp, so get yours quick. It's so wonderfully etched deeply, and when you use this cardstock, 110-pound cardstock, with your squishy mat and the B plate on your Big Shot, if you have a Big Shot, it works with, I'm sure it works with the Vagabond, but I could see it here and you could see it better, so that's why I used my Big Shot Pro. I took it off and wow, 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 that's all I can say. You have a touch of emboss. That squishy pad took my acetate, took my 110-pound cardstock, and made the best impression ever. You're never going to have to press down with your fingers and wonder. This is Hero Arts Ultrafine Clear embossing powder I'm using here. You're not going to have to wonder whether you've missed some spots. You're going to get the perfect impression every time without using your fingers. I was just thrilled. I kept practicing this to see whether it would work, and it did, and I love it. I'll be doing all my background stamps with this method. And if you could see this up close, it has, look at the etch on this, and everything I'm showing you is over at Tupelo's, and I love using the chamois. You can pick it up at the store, reasonably priced. Then I just use the chamois and water with paper towels. I wanted to start my number 1 technique peak week with the ultimate technique, and I am always going to be using my squishy pad and my background stamps to get the perfect emboss, get my emboss deep, and one-time pass through, and look it saves you messes. And I took my distress inks, and you could take your ombre inks, and I went across with 4 different colors. And the key here to making it look vintage and gorgeous is the pigment white ink over top. So you lay down your 4 colors of distress ink or use ombre, slide down ink to paper with your white pigment ink, take a paper towel, run it across because it's etched, and those etched rays on it grabs that pigment ink. It is beautiful. And the same thing here with my acetate, but I used my other inks, my favorite things. Oh my, This looks like glass when you're done. You're going to love it. To think you're never going to have to get messy again by putting your paper over top of your background stamp and pressing down, using other paper, never again. Put it in your die cutting machine. Get the perfect emboss every time, even, and you even get a tad embossing force. Beautiful. And now here I'm going to clear emboss that. I did exactly the same thing, except for I twisted the white ink over the roses so that they would stand out. See it right there? It has that little bit of raised emboss on there. When we heat set this, I am telling you, the acetate looks like glass. And on Friday, for my Friday Tupelo Design Guest Team project, I'm going to do 2 cards, one with this and one with the other cardstock method, and you are going to adore these cards. I'm telling you, this glass technique with the acetate and this vintage style with the paper and the raised etch from a stamp. You're getting an emboss raise with a stamp, and at the same time, you never have to hand emboss again. Look at that. Oh, I just love this. I hope you loved it. I hope you go over to Tupelo's and get one of these background rose stamps. You see the raised emboss and the glass effect raised on that acetate? Absolutely beautiful. So here, after I score 1 inch apart on the Martha Stewart scoreboard, you can get this mini scoreboard. I love it. It's perfect for card makers. And I take my favorite things, hybrid licorice ink. Love this ink. It's dark, it's black. It grabs hold of your score marks there, and when you put the clear embossing powder on it, yes, I rub it down with the paper towel. When you put this clear embossing powder on here, you're not going to believe how beautiful it looks, just like tiles. And the card is going to be totally awesome. You're going to love it. What I put on the stamp sets that I used for these 2 cards, for the glass acetate technique and for the tile technique, you're going to fall in love with these cards on Friday. First technique for you was how to get the perfect emboss on your cards using a background stamp. Don't you love it? Put it through your die cutting machine. Amazing. You never have to get messy with your fingers again. So I am going to have another technique that you're going to love, and I'm going to have 2 terrific cards on Friday. I am so excited about it. You're going to love the acetate glass method card, and you're going to love the tile card. See you then.